Well, good morning. It's almost the end of February and we're getting snow again, or at least it's trying. I think it's like -5 right now. So yeah, the bullshit hasn't ended. But that's alright, because we're plugging away and we got heat in the shop. So we'll show you, we'll give you a little quick update of what's going on, and that's about it. So let's get to it, right? So we got the Camaro in here. Oh, I hear the radio on. Hang on a second here. I'm going to talk over top of the radio because they do not like it on YouTube when the radio is on. So you got some shitty filming right there. Okay, so the 77 Camaro. It's in the shop. And we just kind of laid the rug out in it. Obviously you can see it's got some wrinkles in it. We kind of laid it out, let it sit out of the box in the car to try and get rid of some of the wrinkles outside here for a day or two. And then we'll, now today, we'll get to it and get it straightened up. So that's what's going on with the 77 Camaro. We had a father and son drop off a hood. I can't remember what year Ford pickup. Come on, all you guys out there. It was in the 70s, I believe. And they dropped off a hood. It's a father and son project. And 2 front fenders over here, which we've had our mystery man, body man, working on. So he's been working on those. So they dropped that off. Apparently they did the cab themselves and painted it, and it turned out okay. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know whether it's just they're running out of time or what's happening, but they want us to do the front hood and the front fenders. So that's what's happening there. Now, the Chevy 4x4. I've been working on the passenger side here. A lot of people say, "Oh, you welding in there with the seat in there?" Well, I usually pull the seat back like that, but sometimes the seat's out, sometimes it's in. I usually throw it in there in the evening because it just gets in the fucking way in the shop. But anyway, we've been welding away here, and you can see I'm starting to install the rocker. I got all the floor patch in over there where it was rusted out, and that's what's happening. Again, like I say, start pulling the rocker panels off and all that kind of shit, and there's rust in behind everywhere that you just do not see. So we've actually got a gentleman came here with a 69 Chevy pickup. He drove it down here, he bought it. He just my neighbor down the road, and he said, you know, how much to do this? And I said, well, I'll give you a rough idea. So now he said, well, I'm going to take it all apart. He goes, and I'm going to let you, I'm going to let you do it all. He says, and I'm going to put it back together. And I said, ooh. I says, well, as long as you get all the lines and gaps right. But it should be okay because there was nothing rusted like in the corners. The corner of the doors weren't rusted to the corners of the cab or anything, so we're not doing any welding in that area. But, and that's usually, going backwards here, that's usually when I like to pre-fit everything, because when you start welding on corners where parts start matching up, you like to pre-fit it. But if all the corners are good and the truck had good gaps when it came in, it should realistically have good gaps when he puts it back together. And at the end of the day, he wants to save himself some money, so it's up to him to get the gaps right. He can play around with shims and bolts and whatever, so I don't mind. I hate doing that shit anyway. We all hate doing that here, but we do it because we have to. But anyway, he came by yesterday with the cab. He had it all taken apart, and he came by with the cab. But holy God, was he ever in for a nightmare. When he ripped all the cab apart and got everything gutted, the cab, let me show you on this one, not this truck, remember, now I'm talking a different one. The cab, now they're different on the 69s, but all up in behind here is just rusted right out. And all in between these, it's between the firewall and this little lip here of the firewall, all in here is rusted out. So that is why it's impossible to give an exact price on a job for any shop out there doing restoration work. So if you're dealing with myself or anyone else and you get upset and you're like, hey, you quoted me 9 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, whatever, and then they're saying it's going to be an extra couple. This is why, because you don't know what you're going to find behind the scenes. You don't know what you're going to run into. So anyway, that kind of gives you guys an explanation. The whole point of this channel really isn't for me to teach you guys how to work on cars. I'll try and show you some things. It's for me to try and make people understand what goes on out there in the real world. So that's it. So anyway, it's always a good time and old time, and we'll see you next time.